The Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service has been dedicated to educating Texans for over a century. In 1915, the Extension Program was established under the federal Smith-Lever Act to deliver university knowledge and agricultural research findings directly to the people. Ever since, AgriLife Extension programs have addressed the emerging issues of the day, serving diverse populations across the state. Texans turn to Extension for solutions in horticulture, agriculture, 4-H and youth, and family and consumer sciences. Extension agents respond not only with answers, but also with resources and services that result in significant returns on investment to boost the economy. Join us Fridays at 1 o'clock for the AgriLife Extension Hour. Today on the AgriLife Extension Hour, we will be featuring family health and wellness with host Amy Ressler.
And good afternoon. This is Amy Ressler here with the Extension Hour every Friday here on Lone Star Internet Radio. And I am so excited to be back in the studio today. And I have two lovely guests with me today. It's like a double shot because I've got two of you. So I have Karen Howard and I have Lucinda Owen. And they are both associated with United Way in a couple of different ways, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, I just want to say how excited I am to be here today and have you guys here. United Way is really one of my favorite agencies, and I tell people all the time they're like my best friend. And I think one of the reasons why is because we have very similar missions of what we do. In Extension, our job, what we try to do is education. We do community-based education, and that's one of the things that's most important to United Way in a couple of different ways. And then in one way in particular is the Education Council. So one of the three main pillars of the United Way system, there's health and wellness, there's education, and there's family stability, financial stability. And so Karen and Lucinda are both associated with the Education Council, along with Lucinda just does like lots of other things. You want to say hello, Lucinda?
Hello.
Hey. So let's go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm Lucinda Owen. I was actually born and raised in Conroe. I'm one of the few last surviving people, probably. But I have been working with United Way since '94.
Yeah.
And have had a myriad of jobs there, non-paying jobs. They can't.
You're like a
afford
volunteer
me.
extraordinaire,
right,
I think.
They can't afford me at all. But I've been board chair, I've been campaign chair, I've been communication chair, allocation chair, or fund distribution, whichever you want to refer to allocation.
The money woman.
Yeah. Well, and the also I gave away the money a lot. So
you were everyone's favorite.
Well, not really, but not at all sometimes. But I've been chairman of the Education Council since we created it in 2013.
Okay. So you have been around for a while.
Yes.
And then Karen is like one of the newest members of the United Way family. She is the director for education at United Way. So Karen, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
Good afternoon. I'm really happy to be here. I'm really excited. I'm originally from New York City, but I've been in the Houston area for about 8 months. I've been with United Way for about 7 months. I am the Director of Education, so I support the work that the Education Council does. I've worked in a variety of nonprofits that were funded by the United Way, so I've always been interested in the United Way and seeing the good work that they've done. And now I have the opportunity to work for the United Way.
Yeah. And I think the United Way here in Montgomery County, I think, is unique, maybe. I've worked in several other counties and haven't had the same experiences as I've had here in Montgomery County. I think that it's a really good system, very community involved. And so I think that's why United Way makes a really good partner with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service.
Well, we're 60 years old.
That's right. Celebrating the 60th anniversary recently.
And I will say this for the Conroe and Montgomery County area. They have always been a lot of community pride in our area. And they've always been heavily supportive of the nonprofit community.
Yeah. So what's one thing that's struck you, Karen, about the Montgomery County area, something that you find unique or special or
relationships? I think that's one of the things that makes this United Way different is the close relationships with our nonprofit partners, with people in the community, with the business community, the dedication to the families here from one end of the county to the other. All those things really have made an impact on me, and making my home here now, I'm really interested in the impact that we can make in the community.
Right, all of us working together to make us make Montgomery County a better place. Okay, so Education Council, both of you are involved. Lucinda, you're the co-chair, and
I'm the chair.
The chair. Okay, you're the chair, and then Karen, obviously you're the director. So tell me a little bit about your interest in education. What is just your feelings? I know that you both are very, very passionate women and believe a lot in education and the need for it. Share a little bit about that with us.
Well, when we created the education, actually we started about 8 years ago with a program called Success by Six. And we started that, and we worked in several elementary schools in CISD area. That evolved, and we were put under the Financial Independence Council. And then about 3 years ago, we broke all those councils up and decided to create 3 actual priority areas, and that's when we came up with the education. Now, I've been involved with education. I'm not a teacher. I'm the very first person to tell you I'm not a teacher, never was a teacher, don't want to be a teacher. However,
there are other ways to educate.
There are other ways to educate, and I raised 3 children. I had one child that was needed some special attention. I spent 4.5 years driving him to Houston every Tuesday. So I know the value of education. I know the value of early childhood education. And while we have extremely good schools in Montgomery County, and we actually probably graduate at a higher level than most counties in Texas, we still have an awful lot of work to do with the preschool. There's really a lack of preschool in the entire county, and there's more in the Conroe Woodlands area than there are in the other outlying areas.
Right. And I think as fast as Montgomery County is growing, that issue is going to continue to be one that, it's going to be difficult to get ahead of it.
It's difficult to get ahead, and it's expensive for parents to put their children in early childhood
Most
programs.
Definitely.
So the schools have all told us that, maybe 20 years ago a child could stay at home and be able to enter kindergarten on par with other kids in kindergarten. But now they can't, because you have such a mixture of children, some of them going to early childhood, some of them not, and they want all these children to actually move at the same pace. So it's an advantage for especially economically the lower economic sector of the community to have an advantage to go into kindergarten on the same level as someone who's had the experience of private daycare,
right,
so to speak.
And that early education is so important because it kind of sets the tone for their entire educational career, so to speak. And if they can start out better, then they can stay ahead. They can, stay on top of their own education and actually be more successful as adults, which helps us all when our citizens are well educated and giving back to the community and all those good things that just make life better. Karen, you share a little bit about your interest in education.
Well, I started off my career as a teacher, teaching 5th grade, and then went on to work in the school districts in the middle grades and high school.
You're very brave.
I love the youth. And I just saw, similar to Lucinda, just a lack of access. Even when you got to middle school and high school, of preparation for young people to be ready for post-secondary life, for college, vocational training, etc. And so I'm really passionate about creating that access for young people. And at United Way, because I work with the Education Council, I get to work on the continuum from early education to providing support to middle grades as well as high school students, and supporting young people and moving on to have their dream of going to college. So it's really rewarding and exciting, and something that I've always wanted to be able to do, to see that whole spectrum.
Yeah. Well, and what I love about what we do in Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service and what you guys do in United Way, particularly in the Education Council, is it's adding to what they're getting in school. It's enhancing. It's just making it all more robust, more effective, I think, so that they get it in a few different directions and a few different ways to educate, and again, like I said, to make a better community. So, Lucinda, tell us a little bit about the Education Council and how it got started.
Well, it got started, like I said, in 2013, when the United Way took a look at actually changing from a provider of dollars to agencies to becoming a full community impact United Way. And that's when we divided into 3 different categories of priorities. Education, this past year, actually, we're on a 3-year funding level. So,
and actually, it's called an Impact Council.
It's called an Impact Council, and we actually provide funding for about 13 different agencies. Plus, we run some operations of our own.
Okay, listen, I'm gonna stop you right there because we need to take a quick break. But you're listening to the Extension Hour right here on Lone Star Internet Radio.
You're listening to the Extension Hour on Lone Star Internet Radio every Friday afternoon at 1 p.m.
Hello, Montgomery County. I'm Rachel Baldwin with Special Olympics Texas Area 6. Are you a fan of courage? Are you a fan of determination? Are you a fan of acceptance, grace, and skill? Then you're already a fan of Special Olympics. Make it official. Volunteer, coach, and or compete and be a fan of dignity and acceptance. The dedication of our Special Olympics Texas volunteers provides mainstreaming experiences for athletes with intellectual disabilities. You will touch the heart of another person, and it will move you in a meaningful way that lifts the spirit. Please visit the Heart of East Texas Area 6 webpage at www.sotx.org. Also, like us on Facebook to be a fan and be part of Special Olympics Texas.
Hello, I'm Bonita DeRosa, Animal Control Officer for the City of Willis. We invite you to tune in to Lone Star Internet Radio every first and third Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. for the Willis Hour. On the first Thursday of the month, the Willis Hour will be covering upcoming events and news about the city. Join in the conversation with your city officials and other leaders in the community. On the third, we will be doing a recap of the last City Council meeting. The mission of the City of Willis is to provide high-quality services, accountability, and professional commitment to our citizens. We pledge to provide those who live, work, and visit our city an effective government that is open and responsive to the needs and values of the community. Again, we invite you to tune in on Lone Star Internet Radio every first and third Thursday of the month at 11 for the Willis Hour.
Have a legal question? Are you a resident of Montgomery County? Call 281-645-6344 to talk to a volunteer attorney from the Woodlands Bar Association. We answer the phones on the first Monday of every month at 281-645-6344 from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. to provide general legal information and information about legal resources to Montgomery County residents.
You are listening to the Extension Hour on irlonestar.com.
And welcome back to the Extension Hour. I'm Amy Ressler. I'm County Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences. And I am so happy here today. We've got Lucinda Owen, and we have Karen Howard with us from United Way. And I would mention, too, that they have a great website, very informative, www.mcuw.org. So that's MCUW for Montgomery County United Way. All kinds of information on there. You can find out what's going on. You can sign up to volunteer. There's a good link to helpourcounty.org.
You can donate.
Donate, that's very important too, yes. You can find out the successes from the last 60 years.
And we're running a coat and mittens drive right now that'll be going until the end of December to try to provide coats and mittens to adults, needy adults and children within the county. So you can drop by our offices. It's right in front, and drop in a coat or gently used mittens or hats, warm things for our families.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Karen. You know, United Way does so many things that I think this is another similarity sort of between Extension and United Way, that, we do a lot of things that people don't really realize we do until they hear about it. And so I think that that's true for you guys too. You got a lot of projects going on. But today we're actually focusing on the Education Impact Council, and just wanted to emphasize that it is an impact council, and the whole idea is let's make an impact, let's make a difference in the county. So we can talk about, education all day long, but it really takes action to make things happen and to make things change. So when we... the Education Council, you guys are we're not out, and I'm actually on that council as well. So we're not out there just, saying, oh, we should make life better. We should go, we need to go educate them, go teach them something. Instead, the Education Council and United Way spent a lot of time creating a strategy map.
Well, yes, we did. That strategy map was actually started prior to the council being formed. Oh, yeah. And Karen has worked on sort of condensing it and making it a little bit easier to understand. But in order to fund the applicants from these agencies, the agencies have to have some form of education component, or we don't really even consider funding them. Mm-hmm. We fund 13 different agencies, and everything from literacy volunteers, which is an adult literacy program, to some special needs agencies, Ridgewood Farms, New Caney, New Horizons, who are dealing with the special needs people that they're adults. Mm-hmm. They're all adults. We have Easter Seal programs that we fund, Montgomery County Students Services, which CISD runs, but it affects all 6 school districts in the county. Montgomery County Youth Services programs, Women's Center, we fund some of their outreach services. YMCA, we fund day camp. One of the new programs that we funded this year was really exciting, because when you go to Willis doesn't really have any kind of summer recreational program for their kids at all. Right. And we, along with the City of Willis and the Willis ISD and the YMCA of Conroe, started a summer day camp program for kids that were middle school kids, so that they would have the opportunity they would spend a couple hours in Willis. The Conroe YMCA picked them up in Willis, drove them to the Conroe YMCA. They spent the entire day there. At 4 o'clock, they delivered them back. And it enabled not only the children to have something to do during the summer, instead of just sitting at home doing nothing, but it also enabled their parents to have a provided child care service at no charge, and it enabled. I know we documented at least 3 parents that were able to go out and get jobs during that time because they did not have to watch their children. It enabled them to have some free time to go get a job. So it was, and planning on hopefully doing that again this coming summer. Summer is middle school kids can get in a lot of trouble in the summertime if they're left to their own devices. So that was something that a new program we have done. But on our own, then that we work with AgriLife with the FRED program. We'll talk about, I think, that in a little bit.
Yeah.
And but we have some things in the work. We're looking at we're talking to Collaborative for Children, which is a group out of Houston that works with early childhood daycare centers, and we're talking with them for a program of to train. Give extra training to daycare operators. We are working with Lone Star College, Kingwood, to provide, this is also for middle school children, what we call STEM Saturdays. That probably will start in come March.
Sure. I want to interrupt you just a second. STEM is an acronym for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics.
Right.
Just want to make sure everyone knows what that means. So it's really important stuff to our future and
it's
training
very
kids
important
to get them ready for that.
Also, and our that also was a part of our Willis Teen Camp this summer. They had a STEM component in that. So we have lots of partners out there that we're dealing with. We are also Karen. Karen can talk about some of the things she's got going, some of the new programs that we have going that are totally funded by United Way, that are not necessarily other agencies, but these are our programs that we are presenting out to the community.
Yeah, Karen, tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Montgomery County United Way has a Women's Leadership Council that is made up of women leadership throughout the community, and they provide daycare scholarships to deserving young mothers under the age of 25, and that's all to support the completion of college or a vocational training program. We fully fund their children's daycare while they're in college. They're required to maintain a 2.5 GPA. And we work with Sam Houston State University during the school year to provide workshops for them on college success and life skills. And we are always looking for young women to apply to the scholarship.
Sure.
So if anyone has any interest in that or knows a young woman under the age of 25.
Because a lot of students can find financial aid and money other places, but they can't always use that for childcare. And if it's a young mother, going to school by itself is already a challenge. But on top of that, feeling like you've got really good daycare for your children, it makes a huge difference.
So important to their success in school. And we'll fund up to $8,000 for a student that's attending college full-time or a vocational training program, and $4,000 for part-time students.
That's awesome.
We're also in the process of developing a STEM summer camp. We're going to be working with the Microsoft store in the Woodlands, in Woodlands Mall, and provide a summer camp for Montgomery County middle and high school students there. So that's just in the beginning process. We're incubating that program, but we're really excited about that as well.
Yeah. Well, what I think is so great is that it provides a variety of opportunities for young people, and in most cases, like the summer camp and the STEM Academy and the daycare scholarship, it provides opportunities that some of the people who are able to take advantage of that might not have that otherwise. We like to think that life's great and everybody can do whatever they want, but sometimes that financial burden really prevents people from being able to take advantage of those kinds of things.
Well, it's not just financial burden, there's transportation burden too.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times.
It's a big issue, definitely.
Yeah, so on a couple of these programs, the Microsoft and what's
the
the
STEM
the STEM
Saturdays.
Saturdays. We are in the process of trying to put together transportation for these. We'll probably be busing from Conroe or for some other, and in connection with certain partners, maybe the YMCA. The city of Conroe is actually working with us on the STEM Saturdays program. So we have a wide array, as you well know, Amy, because you're a part of this. On our council, we have a wide array of people who deal with education, whether that be, we have people from the libraries, we have people from the YMCAs, from the City of Conroe Recreation Program, we have people that work for counselors for each of the school districts. There's 6 school districts in the county, and we have, I think, 5 of those school districts represented, and we're still needing a couple of other school districts representation. Teach for Tomorrow, we have representation for that from that. So we have a lot of people that are interested. We have about 20 members of our council now.
And there's a couple that are just really interested in education and volunteering.
Yes, absolutely.
Just have a real true desire and a heart to help the community.
Right.
And I think that's awesome. So yeah, it's a great council. We do lots of good things. So we hadn't talked just a whole lot about the strategy map, but one thing that I think I don't know if people have picked up on this as they're listening, but some of the things that we're talking about, we've talked about the really young kids in daycare all the way to adults. And so it's one of the things the Education Council does is look at education pretty much across the lifespan. I mean, there's the goal is to increase the number of people that are attending completing high school and or an equivalent, but that starts really early on. And so when we come back from a break, I want to talk about that just a little bit more and some of the strategies, again, because I think it's just so awesome that it's not just we're out there picking and choosing, but we're really giving a lot of thought to who we're doing. So you are listening to the Extension Hour right here on Lone Star Internet Radio.
You're listening to the Extension Hour with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. Visit us online at montgomery.agrilife.org.
I'm Lieutenant Bob Berry with the Conroe Police Department, reminding you that texting and talking on the phone while driving are not only dangerous, but also illegal in school zones and other posted areas. Drive safely and alert.
Tune in to Chamber Chat with your host, Courtney Galley and Samantha Good, with the Conroe Lake Conroe Chamber of Commerce, every first Tuesday of the month at 11 a.m. I'm one of your hosts, Courtney Galley. Samantha and I will chat about the Conroe Chamber's upcoming events and programs for the month. Relax with a cup of joe or your favorite drink for Chamber Chat.
I'm Lieutenant Bob Berry with the Conroe Police Department, reminding you that drinking and driving do not mix. Drinking and driving causes an alcohol-related fatality every hour in the United States. Stay sober and stay alive.
Doing business since 1985, Assistance League of Montgomery County is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization where all proceeds stay in Montgomery County. We are proud to sponsor 10 philanthropic programs that enhance the lives of those in our community. Visit our thrift shop at 126 North San Jacinto Street in downtown Conroe or call us at 936-760-1151. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Did you know there are more than 790 abused and neglected children currently in foster care in Montgomery County? Will you help make a difference? I'm Allie Stevens with Casa Child Advocates of Montgomery County. We train and support volunteers to be the voice of children in the foster care system. Kids removed from their home because of abuse and neglect, and we need volunteers just like you to advocate for these children. To learn more about becoming an advocate, please visit CasaSpeaksForKids.com. That's CasaSpeaksForKids.com.
Our community's animal shelters cannot absorb accidental litters of kittens and puppies. Approximately 80% of the animals entering our shelters will not make it out alive. Please help be a part of the solution. Please spay and neuter your pets. Many low-cost options are available. Visit TexasLitterControl.org to learn more. That's TexasLitterControl.org. And remember, real Texans don't litter. Please spay and neuter your pets.
You are listening to the Extension Hour with Texas A&M AgriLife. Visit us online at montgomery.agrilife.org.
This is Amy Ressler with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service, and I'm County Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences. And whenever it's my turn to come on the radio, we call it the Family Health and Wellness Hour. And so we've been talking a lot about education. Someone might be thinking, why education? How does that relate to health? But I think it's a very important link that, you've heard the saying, the more you know. And I guess it's just kind of fill in the blank. But the more you know, the better off you are. And I think there's different parts of health and wellness. And wellness has to do with having things together in your life. And I think that's one of the things that the Education Council helps do. And we've talked a little bit about how the Education Council has filled some needs for families with children in middle school that needed summer care, and the mothers with young children that want to go to school to better their lives. So many great projects. And I mentioned before that those came from a strategy map that United Way developed, and that strategy map just has some different components. It sounds super fancy. It sounds really good, but it really is just kind of it's a guide. The idea of if you don't know where you're going, how will you know when you get there?
Well, but I'm going to let Karen describe the strategy map. However, she was not here when we developed it, so I'm going to tell you how it was developed.
Okay, yeah,
and then
thanks.
she can describe it, because she's done a great job of cleaning up our mess, more or less. We started the strategy map by the United Way did quite a few community listening sites all over.
Yeah, because it's important to find out what the community needs.
So
we
wanted to find out, not just in education, but in health and wellness and in financial independence. They combined those, and so we had all of the data from those community listening sessions. Then we worked with the Troy. We helped produce a Troy report by this Austin-based. I never can remember them.
And Troy is TROI. It's an acronym.
And it's produced by the Center for Public Policy Priorities out of Austin. And that was sort of our follow-up to the community listening. So they came in and they used a lot of data that they gather from all over the state and compare Montgomery County with other areas of the state, especially equal size areas of the state, and see what we're lacking in and what we're actually excel in. And so we used all of that and got the council together and sat in a room for all afternoon and came up with our first strategy map, which is basically what Karen's going to talk to you about. However, she has been here 8 months, and she's an education person, and so she has actually condensed it so that it makes a little bit more sense, is more easily read. And so, Karen, tell them about what we're doing.
Well, just to go back to what Amy said about education and how health and wellness and even financial stability is connected for us, is that we're educating people about more than just academics or literacy, or trying to increase numeracy knowledge in the academic field. We want people to have an understanding of the systems that impact on their lives. And so we have programming that helps families that may not be accustomed to working within the system know how to access childcare or health services, or how to open a bank account, or etc. So there are other areas of education outside of the school, kind of the traditional school-based approach that people take, and we try to embrace all of those through our programming. Like Lucinda said, the strategy map is really just a guide for us to know how to best use the dollars the funding and the dollars that we receive from the community.
Right.
We have 3 strategic focus areas, and we try to ensure that the programs that we fund, as well as the internal programs that we run, focus on those strategic areas in order to have the most impact.
Right.
So the first area is school readiness and early grade reading proficiency. And we talked a little bit about how we support Head Start and Early Head Start and other pre-K programming throughout the entirety of Montgomery County to really help our little ones to be prepared. So that's our first area. And the second one is around middle grade success. And we're developing that strong partnership with Lone Star College because they're really interested in supporting students that are coming from the middle schools and bringing them onto campus and providing them with enrichment. So we're trying to provide programming outside of their traditional school day. And we're working really hard to expand even beyond Lone Star Kingwood in the future and offer those programs at other campuses and bring Montgomery County youth to college campuses and expose them.
Right. Which is important around the middle school age. I mean, kids are kind of, it sounds really early, but they are kind of making life decisions on whether they're going to go to college or not. And I think one of the cool things about addressing the middle school success is that it may catch some kids who think that they you had never thought about going to college, but if they have the opportunity to be exposed to something like Lone Star College and do something on campus and to know a little bit more about STEM and to develop some more confidence, maybe a few of them go to college that never thought they could otherwise, and then we're reaching our goal for success.
Absolutely. And we understand that not every student is going to go straight to a 4-year college. Right. So we encourage students to think about 2-year programs or pipeline programs where they can learn about STEM and go straight into a career path, vocational training, certification. We try to help them think beyond just college. Post-secondary life. What are you going to do when you graduate? Right. And how
for
can
middle
you be
schoolers,
successful?
Right. And for middle schoolers, thinking beyond middle school, right?
Exactly. And then the third area is the high school graduation and success in college, work, and life. And that's where we use the dollars that we have to not only work with school districts and ensure that they have the resources they need, like our student support services funding, but also for the young people, like the young mothers that we're supporting with the daycare scholarships, to ensure that they're not only successful in college, but that they can finish and have a living wage and be successful outside of once they've completed their post-secondary education. So those are our 3 strategy areas. Our target population is always economically disadvantaged children. We try to keep that in mind. Of course, our program is open to all youth throughout Montgomery County, but we try to pay special attention to young people that would not necessarily have these opportunities, and we try to always be mindful of that.
So, and then with each one of those strategies, there's also like kind of sub-strategies to address those really more specifically, because what you just mentioned is pretty broad.
Sure.
So the strategy map goes a little bit further into really breaking it down. How are we going to ensure school readiness? How are we going to ensure middle grade success? And how are we going to ensure that high school graduation and success beyond high school happens?
Well, with the school readiness and early grade learning proficiency with the little ones, we really try to support not only those children in our Head Start, early Head Start programs, but also the families and the caregivers as well. We try to make sure that they have knowledge and understanding so that they can
difference. Yeah.
Exactly, so that they can be better parents and caregivers to their children, because parents are the first teachers, and we believe that very strongly.
Right.
That's why we're trying to develop in fact, we've just approved dollars to start a parenting program for Hispanic language families with children the age of 0 to 5. They'll be in connection with MET Incorporated. So I think it's going to be a really well-received program, and reaching out to, sometimes there is a hesitancy amongst parents who don't particularly speak English, or their native tongue is Hispanic or another language for that matter.
Sure.
And they're hesitant when their children go into school. They're to talk to the parents and talk to the teachers and knowing how to further children along in the education. We're hoping that this program will help direct those parents, and they'll have a better understanding of how to communicate with the teachers, and their children will be ready to perform in first grade.
Oh yeah, parenting is so important because parenting education. So even like myself, for example, had college education, but with the just because you have a kid doesn't mean that you know how to be a parent or what to do. And so I find that sometimes some parents are hesitant to take advantage of parenting education because they don't want it to think that they're not a good parent. But just the parenting education just so much helps people be better parents regardless of their cultural backgrounds, and I think we all need help.
Years ago, when we first started Success by Six, we were dealing with Creighton Elementary School over off of 1314. Mm-hmm. And that is a community that was very distrustful of the educators mm-hmm. in the school, and they were having a very hard time getting the parents into the school so the teachers could talk to the parents. Mm-hmm. And we helped provide the evening, there were sort of family education dinners and programs that started bringing the parents into the school. It became a very big success, maybe too successful because sometimes we didn't quite have enough food to go around.
You know when that happens.
But we provided babysitters for the children, for the kids, mm-hmm. so the parents could go and spend that time with their parents. We're not doing that program anymore. We more or less outgrew it, but mm-hmm. Or maybe they outgrew us a little bit. But that was the reason we were doing it that way, was because of trying to show the parents that there was nothing to be afraid of. They really needed to come and communicate with the teachers for the benefit of their children.
Right. You talk about kind of outgrowing a program. I think that's one of the great things about a strategy map. I mean, there's always work to do, and so it kind of keeps the programming on track and keeps it focused. So tell us a little bit more about some of the other sub-strategies.
Yeah, because we really do try to take a multi-level, multi-pronged approach. So I talked about how we try to support the caregivers. We also try to make sure students have the resources they need outside of school. Mm-hmm. So that goes into the school enrichment, the after-school programs, the summer programming, the day camp programming. Because that's just as important, and we want to make sure that students stay engaged with education, and the only way you can do that is to make sure they have supportive programming outside of the school day.
Yeah.
And then we're trying to build stronger systems that support children and youth, and we do that through working with our school districts, working with our superintendents, working with our school counselors, really being keyed in to understanding what's happening in the schools mm-hmm. and where the gaps are, because United Way is about filling those gaps and creating supplemental programming. We understand we don't want to usurp what's happening in the districts, but we have pretty strong relationships, I think, with our Montgomery County superintendents.
Right, and I think that they really appreciate what United Way is able to do. It kind of extends and expands what they're able to do as well.
Well, the schools in today's world, they are dealing with and have so many more programs that they are actually housing in their schools that never 20, 30 years ago they didn't have to do. Mm-hmm. And we have 6 school districts that come from from CISD, that is one of the largest in the state, to Splendora, which is maybe one of the smallest mm-hmm. in the state. but they are all really are producing well-rounded education, and they're doing so much for their students. But we have a really good relationship with all 6 school districts. We really do.
Well, ladies, we need to take a break, but when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about my favorite one, which is the families reading every day. And this is Amy Ressler on Lone Star Internet Radio with my guest Karen Howard and Lucinda Owen.
You're listening to the Extension Hour on Lone Star Internet Radio every Friday afternoon at 1 p.m.
Are you interested in learning more about preparing quick, healthy, and safe meals for your family? Would you like to spend time with others learning tips and tricks, along with practicing and tasting nutritious food? If so, the On the Road to Healthy Living Mobile Cooking School is for you. Call Amy Ressler at Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service at 936-539-7825 to find a class near you or volunteer to host a class.
The Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service has been dedicated to educating Texans for over a century. In 1915, the Extension program was established under the federal Smith-Lever Act to deliver university knowledge and agricultural research findings directly to the people. Ever since, AgriLife Extension programs have addressed the emerging issues of the day, serving diverse populations across the state. Texans turn to Extension for solutions in horticulture, agriculture, 4-H and youth, and family and consumer sciences. Extension agents respond not only with answers, but also with resources and services that result in significant returns on investment to boost the economy. Join us Fridays at 1 o'clock for the AgriLife Extension Hour.
The East Texas Dream Center is in need of your help. We are a nonprofit Christian organization that houses women and children who are trying to get their lives back after being homeless, abused, or addicted. We are conveniently located at 301 South 1st Street, Conroe, Texas, 77301, right here in Montgomery County. Our needs are financial and every needs of gasoline, cleaning supplies, laundry soap, Lysol, and whatever else God puts in your heart. To help our ladies and children, please consider a donation. You may visit our website at www.easttexasdreamcenter.org. Again, so you don't forget, it's www.easttexasdreamcenter.org. Donations are tax deductible. Remember what Jesus said, with God, nothing is impossible.
You are listening to the Extension Hour on irlonestar.com.
I'm Lieutenant Bob Berry with the Conroe Police Department, reminding you that texting and talking on the phone while driving are not only dangerous, but also illegal in school zones and other posted areas. Drive safely and alert.
You are listening to the Extension Hour on irlonestar.com.
And you're back with Amy Ressler. I'm County Extension Agent for Family and Consumer Sciences, and I've got Karen Howard and Lucinda Owen with me. And even just during the break, we were just talking about some of the strategies and the great things that we do and what we could do. There's so many opportunities of things that we could do. And so, you know what, maybe you guys come back with me another time and we can talk more, because I was just thinking we could talk for hours about some of this. But before we run out of time at the end of the hour, I do want to talk about the FRED project. So FRED is Families Reading Every Day, or sometimes we call it Fathers Reading Every Day. And it's actually a program that was developed by Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. And it really started out as Fathers Reading Every Day was the original title of it. And the intent was to increase fathering. It was a fathering initiative. And so the idea was, let's get fathers to spend more time with their kids, and how can we do that with reading? And so that's kind of how it started, but we've been implementing it in some sites that perhaps don't have the a strong father figure in their life. And so we don't want to alienate those kids. And also with the Education Council being interested in education and literacy, this is really set up very nicely to be a literacy development program as well. And so the Families Reading Every Day more of a literacy project is kind of how we've approached it here in Montgomery County. And I've just been here about 3 years now, and this was one of the first things when I got here in Montgomery County. Someone from United Way called and said, hey, we want to do Fred. Can you start it next week? I was like, whoa, sure, we can. So the Fred Project is a 4-week project. And what we do is we do a little kickoff, and then we do a celebration at the end. The first 2 weeks, we ask families to spend 15 minutes a day reading with their kids, and then the second 2 weeks, we want them to increase it to 30 minutes a day. And the idea is, as they're doing this, they're spending time together. It's helping the children feel good about reading. It's developing their literacy skills, and hopefully it's developing a habit that kind of lasts a lifetime for them. So United Way obviously is particularly interested in this because of the education aspect that it provides, and they're very generous in providing some funding so that kind of helps us promote the program and encourage families to read. It's always nice to get little prizes, little pats on the back, that kind of thing. So thank you guys for continuing to support that. And I know, Lucinda, that's the one that's really dear to your heart.
Well,
you were one of the ones that said, Amy, you really need to do Fred.
I started, Tia Deca and I started Fred. Well, we didn't start Fred. We started Fred in Head Start programs here. And the first 2 years we did Father's reading, and we had donuts for fathers,
donuts for
kickoff,
dads,
donuts for dads, kickoffs, and everything.
But I have to tell you, the health educator in me kind of cringes, but
but the fathers liked the donuts.
That brought them out, definitely.
But after the first 2 years, we realized that possibly not every child had an active father, and grandma or mother or sister or somebody else was, so that's when we decided to go with the families. I think it's a wonderful program. I really do. We do it twice a year, or Amy does it twice a year. We just sort of give her a check. But I think it's a wonderful program. I think that whoever created it over at AgriLife just really hit the nail on the head. They knew exactly what was needed in the community. And of course, we've been dealing with the 3 Head Start programs, Early Head Start, and the 2 Head Starts, one in Willis, one in Grangerland. I believe Amy did some at Sam Houston Elementary last year.
Yeah, well, it was really interesting the way that happened. So we started out doing that. We've been doing it at Head Starts for quite some time, and then I guess another United Way partner from First United Methodist Church had heard about it, and they have adopted a school at Sam Houston, and so they wanted to bring that to Sam Houston Elementary, and so we did. Had several families participate there, and then another member of First United Methodist heard about it and wanted to implement it at Hardy Elementary in Willis, so we were able to expand it out there. And the one thing I love about this program is it's really simple, straightforward, pretty easy to do. It's kind of like a campaign again to develop that habit and that time, and so it could definitely be offered even more places.
We also were able, when we first started in Willis, we were able to involve the Bentwater community, and that is how the Bentwater community got actively involved in all of our United Way projects, and has continued through this day. But they started with the reading program over at the Fred program over at the Willis Head Start.
Yeah. Karen, what do you think about the Fred program?
Well, I'm very impressed. I think one thing that would be good to mention is that we also have 3 days out of the year when volunteers from the community come in to the Head Starts and the Early Head Start and read to the children. Yeah. And we had almost 40 volunteers in November. They came out. We had 2 school superintendents and just people from all walks of life, the business community, other nonprofits, and they all gave their time and opened their hearts to sit down with babies and read to them, and we had a great time.
Yes. So So Dick over here is telling me it's time to wrap it up, and I could talk about Fred for an hour too. So we are definitely going to have you guys back, and we're going to talk some more. And I just want to mention that if anyone is listening and they're interested in doing a Fred project, it really can be anywhere. A library, a church, and schools are an ideal place, but really any kind of group could implement something like that. So if you would like more information, please give me a call. Again, my name is Amy, and our number at the Extension office is 936-539-7825. Actually, there's several different numbers, but they all goes to a menu system, and that'll get you to me. So I'd really love to talk to other people about doing that, and I know that would make United way happy to expand it even more, just to, again, help that literacy of our community, because that's a kind of what we've been talking about this whole time, education, making impacts to help people. So thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you.